Hello, welcome back to Elephant in the Room. And now we are really on Friday at this episode 30. We are really reached there, Taranjeet. How are you, Taranjeet?
Yes, indeed. Very well, very well. I honestly cannot believe that we've hit this milestone, Wihan. Who would have thought several weeks ago when we thought about this idea, we would be hitting 2 months and we're talking about episode 30. And what an amazing experience it has been. Not only
Yes,
for myself, yes, not only for myself and you, I would imagine, but also listening to what's been happening out there from a COVID, from a individual employer, business owners, and now graduates and employees as a whole. Wihan?
correct. So we've been very fortunate to have many guests on our show and also guests from overseas. We did the region stint, we did the sectoral stint, and now we're also doing a multi-layer. So I think we started last week to do fresh graduates, those who are going to be graduating this year. This week we went on to do young professionals. So we had Farah on Wednesday. Yesterday we had a young social entrepreneur, Shaikit, and today we have another young professional by the name of Felicia Mathew, right? So with that, maybe I'll get you, Taranjeet, to maybe quickly
Sure,
introduce our guest today.
sure,
While
sure. Sure. Okay. So thanks a lot for that, Wihan. Felicia Mathew, she's a first class graduate in accounting and finance from Taylor's University. So kudos to her for that. And she started her career with one of the big four consulting come audit firms in the area of sustainability advisory services. Experience in assisting public listed companies on sustainability strategy and non-financial risk management. So it's more around things other than finance. Now she's specializing in financial advisory services with an experience in banking and more recently in the fintech side, specifically in digital banking and everything related to that field. So it's an amazing, exciting, very disruptive field. And we are absolutely delighted to have Felicia on Elephant in the Room. Felicia, welcome.
hi, Felicia.
Hi, thank you, Taranjeet and Bunhan. Thanks for having me on the show.
It's our pleasure, Felicia. It's our pleasure. So let's do this. I think Muihan will start it off. There's some very nice questions that we would like to ask you, specifically from an experience that you're going through right now. You've been in the field now. Is it what, about 2 years or just coming to 2 years? If I see it right.
I'm approaching my second year as a
Excellent.
management consultant. Yeah,
Excellent, excellent. I
junior
like that. So
consultant. Yeah.
very nice, very nice. So Muihan, over to you, sir. Let's kick it off.
Sure. So, Felicia, thank you again for being on here. And we also invite all our audience to join in the conversation. You can both give your thoughts as well as your questions to our guests today. So, I will just start it off to ask a very simple question, Felicia. How has COVID-19 or even MCO been impacting you in your workplace as well as your work? Maybe you can give us maybe some understanding of the impact so far?
Sure. So because of the lockdown, we are all working remotely from home. So I've been working from home since MCO. But the first observation I can make so far is that working hours have been extended, has stretched past 6 p.m. Mainly because there are many virtual meetings that have to be done during the day. That's to catch up with your colleagues, to discuss about projects, and then also to catch up with your clients as well. So I think half of the day is filled with virtual meetings, and then it leaves you very little time to actually get work done. So, which is another reason why working hours have extended past 6 p.m. for the past 2 months for me, actually. So, yeah, that's my situation at home for the past 2 months. Yeah.
Okay. And how's that has changed the way you all work, maybe in the firm? Is it something that you all are used to even prior to MCO? I mean, the whole idea of telecommuting and teleworking and being remote or working with remote teams. Maybe you can also share some of your experience as well as feelings on that Because I think we've been hearing different kind of inputs from different people as well on this. Maybe wanted to hear yours as well.
Prior to MCO, I think we are very much like virtually interconnected as well within the office, but never this intensified, you know what I mean? But so far I'm really enjoying working from home. I definitely have more flexibility, more time to myself, although the working hours have extended a little bit longer than usual. But otherwise, I do like the working at home arrangements. And so I initially in the first 2 weeks definitely needed some time to find that motivation and that momentum and discipline to have like a proper work routine as I would normally have in the office. But so far I've been picking up and the momentum has been good and I've been enjoying working from home so far. Yeah.
Excellent. Felicia, you're one of the very few people who has been so positive about this, which is brilliant. We hear a lot of
Yeah.
individuals
I quite like
actually
it.
going, sorry?
I quite like it. I quite enjoy working from home. I
Very
do.
nice, very nice, very nice. So let's take the discussion a little bit deeper, if you don't mind. Let's talk about the impact to you personally. This particular period, it has been very unsettling for a lot of people. It's been very unsettling simply because we don't have that interconnect that we used to have with the organization. Can we hear a little bit more about your thoughts about how has this impacted you personally? And somebody has asked, please speak a little bit louder because you're a little bit soft, Felicia.
Oh, okay. Right. Am I clearer now?
That's clearer. Thank
Okay.
you.
Right. Okay, cool. Okay, so for me, I'm really grateful in a sense that I am not experiencing major disruptions. I still have my job. I still have the flexibility to work from home until today. And I still receive my paycheck at the end of the month, so that's great as well. I'm able to, you know, I'm able to go to the mall and like, get groceries. If I'm lazy to cook, I can, take my phone, order in takeaway and stuff. So in that sense, I'm very privileged because I'm not so much affected by this whole lockdown, but I cannot say the same for my other friends from other industries. So I have a few friends that are from the hospitality and tourism industry, and they have experienced pay cuts. One of my friends, actually a very good friend of mine, she was laid off 2 weeks after joining the company. So they're all having their own personal struggles right now, and it's devastating for them. So I guess it's a mix of good and bad. Like my friends from professional services, they're also like myself. They enjoy working from home. So yeah.
Okay, and so that's good. Now, what is the organization doing? And let's not talk about specific names here, but what is the organization doing to help you and others like you within the firm to ease this uncertainty that we are currently going through?
I am actually really happy with the way how my employer has handled this situation. Actually, prior to the lockdown, they were already taking precautionary measures. They were doing mass sanitization, if that's the right word for it, mass
Yep.
sanitization like every week, and then they were already arranging working from home arrangements. So and then in mid-March they announced the lockdown, and that just made it easier for everyone to just start working from home. And throughout the MCO, we will always have like departmental meetings just to catch up and see how each other and to see how everyone is doing with their work, with their progress. So I think it's so far they're doing really well. So and also now my employers are also like very open with the idea of working from home as a permanent option, I think, for the foreseeable future until things get better. Yeah, they're definitely embracing the idea.
Good, good. Glad that you are in such a good position, and as well as I think it's important that um, things are looking great. And it's always that's why it is always good to be in an organization that with a proper infrastructure and processes And when times of change, these are some of the benefits, all right? So wanted to maybe just quickly welcome our audience, those who have just joined us. Welcome to Elephant in the Room. We are on episode 30th episode. So it's really been amazing. Thank you for all your support. Just wanted to do a quick shout out to all of the ones who have just tuned in. Okay, so we have both Sujit and Bhagwan from Perth. Thank you for support. Dr. Mike from Singapore, welcome again. Chong Sulim, yeah, thank you for your wishes. Hope to have, hopefully we can do 30 more, I don't know. Okay, Dr. Buxton, oh, I don't think anyone is the elephant, but we'll look for the elephant soon. Okay, and I think this is somebody that you know, Felicia, Ratneswari. Say hi here
Yes,
to
Dr.
you.
Ratnes. Yeah. Hi.
Okay. Oh, yeah. She just said he was your student in Payless. Okay. So there's this question from Dr. Mike. Maybe you want to just help to answer. So Dr. Mike asks, how do you see post-COVID future, especially from your generation perspective? I think as a young person, looking at what you are doing now, what you are experiencing now, and the environment and the market moving forward, what do you think it will look like?
Um, I I think definitely like working from home and like working remotely is a definite observation in the future. I can't really say much. I can't really predict how we are responding to it, aside from the fact that we are all much more virtually connected. But I do see people are getting used to this idea of like working from home and you know doing meetings virtually, and I think probably infrastructure would be improved 10 times fold because of this new working environment. Yeah.
So maybe just put you on the spot here, and probably may not be representative as well, because of in your industry, there are the bunch of people that you're working with are also fairly young and energetic and dynamic. But in your perspective, I'm sure you have exposure to your clients as well as the other friends that you work with. You thinking that is it fair to say that you are more grateful that the thing happened now early in your career so that you get used to it faster compared to, let's say, somebody who's been 15 years or 20 years in their job? Do you see any differences if you have any observation in the last 2 months? Maybe just wanted to get your thoughts on that.
Oh yeah, definitely. That thought has crossed my mind for sure. So in some way, I'm pretty grateful that this has happened to me now, and there is not much commitments, financial commitments in my end, to cushion all of this burdens right now that most people are experiencing. I don't know anyone personally that has owned a business or is struggling um, to meet their financial obligations. For now, I've not seen anyone, but I definitely have read through articles and really quite devastating articles about people being laid off, and like the economy is disrupted, and companies definitely struggling. So yeah.
So let me put some context to that, Felicia. So it's great
Yeah.
that the environment that you're working in, specifically the services that you're providing, is much required today, more so than before. And I remember when I was growing up in Price Waterhouse in the mid '90s, we were smack in the middle of the Asian financial meltdown. Banks were closing, and I was smack in the middle of that 53 financial institutions collapsing to 10, which is what you see now as those universal banks, the CIMBs and what have you. So, whilst this tumultuous change was taking place, for a junior consultant or a mid-level consultant such as myself, there was just so much to do. There was just, and it was never in time was never enough. There was just so much to do, and unfortunately, for the rest of the world, that's not the case, because the rest of the world is impacted by this change that is taking place. And today it is predicted by MIER, and there's a report that came out several weeks ago, that we're looking close to about 2 million people being unemployed. And those 2 million people are going to be people that we are connected to in some form or one or another. They are people that we are either working with or people that we are affiliated to in that regard. So it'll be very interesting. And I'm very pleased that this environment is somewhat more sheltered to some extent. But the reality is that you've got a lot of people that are going to be impacted here. Now, that I think sets us up for maybe a question that you may have. Would you have any questions for us or our panel?
Yeah, for sure. So in light of all of what is happening right now and people losing their jobs and companies suffering and really taking a pinch because of this, how do you, what is your advice to young adults now to prepare for financial emergency or uncertainties like times like this?
Oh wow, that's a big one, and that's so young adults. The awkward situation is you've just started work. To be fair, you've been at the workplace for the last maybe 12 to 18, 24 months. So building up that capital base is a little bit disparate as well. But I think it's a question of being disciplined. And I remember one of the first things that was advised to me is please put aside X percentage of your income, no matter what it is, put that aside as part of a nest egg that you're now going to be preparing for the future. And very early upfront, somebody also advised me, I know you're going to spend that if you see it in your account. So what you do is you take it out of your account and put it into some insurance annuity scheme or something like that, which you don't see it, and it's not in your face, and therefore the opportunity or the temptation to use those funds becomes a lot less. So these are one or two things that are playing out. Muihan, your thoughts?
Oh, I like this question a lot because personally, I not as fortunate as both of you start your careers in the Big Four, so you get premium pay as a fresh graduate. I started my job in a very small time local company, SME really, and it's the S, not the M, or the not the M also. So I realized one thing in my first job, and those days they from upon probation, you passing a probation, there is an increment. Those were the good old days practices. These days no longer have such things. I remember the additional increment was just 200 ringgit. When I started my job, I couldn't make ends meet. So every month was a negative for the first 3 months. The moment the 200 ringgit came in, I suddenly had positive savings. And if you put into context, actually 200 is not significantly a lot, even 20 years ago, and to a certain extent, right? Then I realized the one important thing when I first came up to do my business 5 years later, it was a very big business blunder, I would say, and I lost a lot of money. It is not how much you make on a monthly basis. It is always how much you spend. So the one good discipline, I found that if you can target yourself as a threshold of expenditure, and you maintain that threshold for a longest time ever, unless you change your lifestyle, let's say you get married, have kids, that's a different story. But let's say you have a single for the next 5 years, and you know that, my monthly expenditure is X amount, and if you make it a discipline to keep it that number, then you are quite well off in a sense. Because if not, no matter how much increment, how much new opportunity, how much bonuses you get, there will be never enough to finance your lifestyle because it is very, very tempting to spend it when you have money in that sense.
I would love to hear, and that's a very good point. I would love to hear what our viewers, Dr. Heng, as well as Jordan, have to say about this. So as we're talking, let's hear what the viewers have to say. Interesting, very, very interesting. Can I ask you, Felicia, on that note, what are the two takeaways that you would have personally gathered or that you've personally learned from this experience coming out of this COVID and MCO period?
I think the first takeaway, although I may not have experienced that much difficulties, but I think it is important to be resilient for sure. To be resilient in to help us soldier through challenges and hardships that will pass, or that will happen in life. I definitely think that to develop resiliency is a very personal and unique journey, and there's no one size that fits all technique. So it is definitely a trial and error for you to become more resilient. That's what's one. And secondly, from our conversations about financial planning and budgeting and saving, I think now that's a wake up for me right now, actually, to start looking into those, into my finances, and starting to plan. Yeah.
Okay. And all right, so that's good because it's a lot
Yeah.
better to take it up earlier than later. And allow me to pass this back to Muihan. Muihan, you talked about that. There you go. Please continue, Muihan.
So we have a few ideas from our audience. First from Sulim. So Sulim say, try to learn to live below your means, not even live within your means, below your means, and put away a amount of equivalent 3 to 6 month expenditure as an emergency
Okay.
fund, right? Jordan say saving traditionally 10 to 15%, maybe save in a longer term unit trust, insurance investment, get a platform to get side income that generate maybe passive incomes. All right. Yes. Dr. Heng say cash is king. Oh, Dr. Heng, you shouldn't say that. That is a very bad word in Malaysia. But nevertheless, is what you mean that forget credit cards, use debit cards instead, look for alternative passive income resources. So I think one way of doing it is, although we are not suggesting that you get another job or a side job, but it is also good to invest yourself, especially building skill set that is slightly different from what you are doing now, because we are very uncertain in a lot of cases. So if let's say for whatever reason, tomorrow morning management consultancy is something of the past, we no longer need that because the AI have taken over, you can at least have some transferable skill to move on to something else. And I think that is important. Once that happens, then of course the income is also supplemented, right? So I got one question coming from Dr. Heng before this. Maybe you want to try to help us to answer. So he said, what is your advice for those graduating this year regarding their career prospects? What are the better jobs and industry for them to get into these times? And maybe since you're in the big four, is it a easy or good time to get into the big four? Is the big four
Mm.
hiring as well?
Oh, okay. Is the big four hiring? Not all not all units within consulting is hiring right now, but I know what's hot. What's hot right now is restructuring for sure. Restructuring and financial risk management. Those are the two departments I see that are getting a lot of requests for proposals and a lot of projects that are incoming. So if you're interested in consulting, perhaps you can look into these
Reach
two
out to
departments at
Felicia,
least
is
I
it?
know are quite quite active at the moment. Yeah.
Yeah, if you're interested in consulting, reach out to Felicia.
Yeah, I mean, sure, why not? Add me on
All right, well done.
LinkedIn.
I like it. So, Felicia, we
Yeah,
we
that's
are
no
coming
problem.
in. Yeah, we are coming into the tail end of the program. Do you have any other questions that you may want to ask the audience, Felicia?
Fact, but maybe I can just sorry. Okay. So maybe my question would be an extension to the answers that was provided about savings and passive income. Is there any other forms to build like your own financial wealth to ensure that like you have enough retirement savings at least, or like just for in the future in general?
So I will leave that to Muihan, but let me tell you, enough is never enough for some weird reason.
Mhm.
Muihan, over to you, buddy.
I think one good way to look at it is always to, I still come back to skill sets. And I think in this generation, and we talk about this in previous shows as well, I would say we are all very fortunate to have something called the gig economy. So, and this is something that I feel that everybody should indulge themselves into it, more so from building skill sets that will be applicable in your future work and future career. But at the same time, if you can generate income and pocket money out of it, amazing. Some have taken it further to make it a permanent livelihood or even a business. So, but you wouldn't know until you jump into it in that sense. So, and this gig economy spectrum is very huge, from a very task-based, skill-based to even more abstract in nature. And I think, yeah, take a try, man, because this is the golden hour, or we say that 20 years time, your kids ask you, you were in that golden age of digitalization because you were locked down for 2 months, then everything went digital. What were you doing? Yeah, so that is something I feel that, yeah, as young people, you should indulge in it.
So allow me to add on to that, Felicia. And I think something to think about is what is your end game plan? And I know that we've just started this 18 months into it, but at least a 5 to 10 year time horizon will be good because it gives you a level of focus. And I'm not just saying I want to make manager or senior manager or whatever the deal is. We all want to do that. But what are the areas that you want to specialize in or focus in that makes you and sets you apart from the rest? And you got to consciously work towards that. Now the reason why I say that is important is because that will provide a level of relevance to the type of work that you do and you as an individual, whether it be today or tomorrow. And that would be certainly, it's not something which I think will happen tomorrow, but it's something which is a journey that we are now working towards to provide that level of relevance. And you will suddenly see this kicking in maybe in 10 years from now, where there's a tipping point that then takes place where you're no longer somebody asking for answers, but you're now the person giving the answers. And that for me is certainly something to look at as we drive towards a financial or investment perspective. Now, I'm cognizant of time, and we do have people who have someone, Surgeon has come along and she stated that you have a long way for retirement. So, why are you thinking about this? But in my mind, I think to Muihan's point, it's not about that. It's about making sure that we are ready for what there is. Jordan comes along and says, money is not everything, but indeed it's an option and choices when you do have it. Absolutely right. Jordan also goes around and says that dentistry is another industry which is affected. Even without the COVID, we have dental officers contracts in the government only for 3 years, and not sure whether we're able to secure permanency of employment thereafter. So yeah, we're not alone, and you're certainly not alone here. I think the whole idea is to think about what can we do in a holistic fashion. But before we start concluding, I have one question for you, Felicia. And I'm going to put you on the spot here. And I'm going to ask this, and I know your Taylor's professors are listening in as well, but let's pretend that they are not there. Do you honestly believe that the university has provided you and prepared you well for this unsettling times that you're going through right now? What's your thought around that, Felicia?
No pressure. My lecturers are watching me.
Don't worry about it. No
um,
pressure.
okay. No, okay. I'm just kidding. So I think in a sense, yes, because in university you have your own different set of challenges and hardships. So university has sort of like built that foundation to be resilient in some ways and to be self-directed to maneuver through hardships and challenges and how you handle them. you bring yourself to resolve challenges and problems that you face. But I guess in the working world, it's a different ball game. It's a different set of challenges. So in that sense, like it's a very personal journey to find more strength in challenging and hardships, in challenging and hard times at least. Yeah.
Okay, good. Muihan, over to you, sir.
Okay, so Felicia, we're gonna ask you to go backstage for a while, but don't leave yet. Don't leave yet. We will bring you back on while we just maybe close this up. See you soon. Okay, Taranjeet, quick one. We are way ahead of time. We are slightly exceeded the time, but maybe two things that you felt that we could maybe summarize for our audience today.
Absolutely. So the two things here, one would be the opportunity to actually look at it from a positive perspective, and it's great to see that level of enthusiasm that somebody like Felicia is bringing to the table. And I'm very heartened that the work environment that she is in allows her to focus and further enhance. And quite honestly, I'm reflecting on my own career in when I was growing up in Pricewaterhouse. This is the time where you're experiencing stuff which you would never have experienced before. So go ahead, make full use of it. The second one that comes across is the progressiveness of the organization. You raise a very valid point, Muihan. There are some organizations that have the infrastructure, and there's some organizations who don't. But what I would go one step further is, even if some organizations don't have the infrastructure, the progressiveness of the leadership team will come out and provide that light. So we will go out there and consciously develop human capital policies to support, even if it's not present today. We will go out there and consciously provide you with a couple of dollars to buy that Unify program that you needed in order for you to be connected to the organization, or things like that. So I personally feel it's not about the organization per se, but it's about the leadership and the quality of leadership that are there that actually promotes and encourages and influences how these young professionals are now not only being brought on board, but how they're actually working and contributing in an effective fashion. Muihan?
Wonderful, wonderful. And I think that's where sets the organization differently for winning the better talents. I think, and I some of the programs I see that they do. I mean, pre-COVID, I was very amazed with the organization's graduate development program or graduate onboarding programs, and they really stand out compared to the rest of the world. And I kudos to them for getting good talents. So. I wanted to maybe just announce a few things before I bring Felicia back on to say that we are taking a break next Monday and Tuesday to celebrate Hari Raya with all our Muslim friends. And so we won't have Elephant in the Room on Monday and Tuesday, but we'll be coming back on Wednesday. So we do stay to in our Facebook page to get the latest information. So that you are informed, but we'll definitely be coming back on Wednesday. So on that note, let me welcome Felicia back on. So Felicia, any last words for our audience before we sign off?
Any last words? Thanks for tuning in to this show today. Yeah.
And thanks for having us. Yeah.
So thank you very much, Felicia, for coming on, and we really appreciate the conversation we have with you, and we hope all the best to you in your future undertakings and your career. If you have any time needed some unsolicited career advice, feel free to come and knock on our doors. Both myself and Taranjeet will be more than happy to share what we know with you. And since we have both been in that environment that you are in now, so probably you can shed some light as well. Okay, so with that, thank you very much, our dear audience. Have a good weekend, and this is a long weekend because of the Raya break. To all our Muslim friends, business partners, customers, as well as family, may you have a joyous Hari Raya celebration So Mahaf, Zaid, and Batin from Elephant in the Room signing out. Bye-bye.
Selamat Hari Raya Aidilfitri. Bye-bye.